lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the front room of the 1925 bungalow. I'm Scott. Now, if all goes well, and I hope it does, this episode should appear on Thanksgiving Day. And so therefore, may I wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. I've got on the floor surrounding me items that I cannot wait to show you. This is a thrift haul. Cheers. Let's get into it. Ooh, that was good. Why not start with a beautiful etched vase? This is called elegant depression glass as opposed to your machine-made cheap stuff, which there's nothing wrong with, but you would have bought this in a department store or a gift shop. Now this beautiful vase is 11 inches tall. And this, of course, you might recognize as the Diane pattern, which was a very popular pattern made by the Cambridge Glass Company. Yeah, they would have introduced this in the 30s and then produced it for several years. It was one of their popular patterns, Diane. I'm sure it's not showing up very well. Sometimes with an etched piece, if you turn it and let you see the inside, you'll see the pattern. Now this is also known as Etch 3122, and there were many different vases, you know. And of course this is the Depression, and so if people could afford to buy glass like this in an department store, that's wonderful. They might not have had the extra cash to buy auxiliary pieces, decorative pieces such as vases, and so this is a very nice piece. Now it does have two very small chips at the top, very small, hardly noticeable. And again, we're not going to drink out of this, at least I hope not. And the two little chips almost get lost in the etch. The etch goes almost clear to the top, so you really don't see them. And of course they could be ground out if you wanted to. So 11-inch tall Diane pattern vase by the Cambridge Glass Company. It's very pretty. And anyone who is a collector of Diane, you know, now's a great time to pick up all those extra decorative pieces. Most of them, unless the pattern is extremely rare, they're quite reasonable. Here is a small carnival glass bowl. I'm still picking up iridescent carnival glass. This one is chip and crack free. We'll identify that some other time. Marigold, the most popular color, as you probably know, in carnival glass. Now, you know, have you finished? Thank you. Not yet? Okay, there you go. I've told you before, you're probably sick of hearing it, but that mantle clock has been in my family since it was purchased, and it didn't belong in his family, but it belonged in hers. Those are great-great-great-grandparents on my father's side, but one on my grandmother's paternal and maternal side, and that clock came down from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it's been in the family. It went from her, that great-great-grandmother, to my great-grandmother, to my grandmother, to which I remembered in their house as a kid, and then in my family's house on the mantle. And here it is now, ticking away, what, about 135 years later. That clock is about 1890, something like that. Don't know what's going to happen to it after I'm gone, but oh well. This is a console bowl, and it's pink. Now, you know, it's a smaller one than I usually find. That's about a 10.5-inch console bowl. I'm not picking up as many of these. These, in terms of the prices that I need to make, are not quite selling, they're not quite as dismal as the center handle tidbit trays, which I'll only pick up if they're very unique. But these just don't seem to be doing a whole lot. You know, it's not a whole lot of people are decorating with console bowls, and you know, how many do you need? I love them with the 2 candlesticks. I did go ahead and buy this one. I like the rolled edge. I like that it is got flowers engraved on it, which is a typical engraving, but it's small. It's not one of those great big 12-inch ones that is a little more difficult to pack. So there it is in pink. Look at the little spoon for mayonnaise. Is that candle wick? I imagine so, with those 2 boop boop on the end of it. Little mayonnaise spoon. Don't have the spooner. We recognize that tree bark, Jeanette. Iridescent. Not made during the carnival glass era. So your tried and true carnival glass collectors would not really consider that carnival. We just call it an iridescent. But if, you know, call carnival if you want. Oh, look at these. I haven't even cleaned these yet, and they're a little cloudy. 2 tiny, that one's really cloudy, salt and pepper shakers etched a 1930s pattern. And this is, I don't recognize it right off the bat, but it's either a Falstoria or a Tiffen, or a Payton City, or a Cambridge etch. I just don't. And be careful if you're trying to identify it just by that. A lot of those etches look alike. But I'll clean these, and they, other than just being cloudy on the inside, I guess it won't really matter once you get your salt and pepper in them. Oh, speaking about an etch, let's pull these over here. Now, I'm happy and sad about these. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 of these beautiful, more than likely saucers, and I'll tell you why they're probably saucers. Although you can't always just tell by looking at them. They're beautiful yellow color. Again, this is elegant depression glass with polished bottoms, and this glass here is manufactured at the Tiffen factory, one of the last, or the last factory to hang on. All those years after U.S. Glass closed to everybody else. I forget what factory number it was. Factory R. Usually they kept the letters. Anyway, let's not go too far into it. This etch that you see on there is called Laflur. Laflur. I didn't study French. And I love it because look, there are butterflies. Are you seeing it? Look there. See the little butterfly there? And then there's one there. There are 4 butterflies on here. Boop, 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 boop. It's a pretty pattern. This would have been introduced in the 20s or 30s. It's etch 15024, and I'm going to guess saucer rather than bread and butter plate. They did make a bread and butter plate that measured 6 3/8 inches. These are 6 inches. Now, you say, well, does it have the indentation for the teacup? No, but that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes companies would take their bread plates or little plates like this, and it could dub as a bread and butter plate or a saucer. Not all saucers have the indentation for the into which the cup sits. These don't. I would need to study a little bit more. So there's no indentation for the, doesn't mean it's not the saucer. It could be, and it probably is. Because the bread plate was actually 6 1/3, and these are only 6 inches. So the sad part to me is these have survived There were probably teacups with them. And you know, we have what's called donation centers where people can, you know how that works. 20 boxes come into a donation center. Or 2 boxes come in on Monday, and then Ethel can't get back until Thursday. Ethel comes back and brings another 2 boxes on Thursday. She brought the saucers in on Monday. She's not going to bring the teacups in till Thursday. What has happened? The saucers have gone to a Goodwill in Metuchen, New Jersey, and the teacups have gone to a Goodwill in Hoboken. Split up forever. So anytime I find a set of beautiful, what are probably saucers, I always think, where did the teacups go? Yeah, I know. Go back the next day, they might be there. Yeah, right. Sometimes, but you do sometimes get lucky. And I did tear the store apart, but they weren't there. Crackle. Snap, crackle, pop. What can we say? We know that. I got 8 of these. It's probably a Blendo. I know it's not Blendo because the color, I know what Blendo is, but I think this may be the same maker. It's that mid-century and it's that matte finish. It doesn't really feel good to your hands. I don't know. It's not smooth glass. You know what I mean. It's almost like touching a chalkboard. It's texture to me. I don't know. But you're only eating, what, dessert out of those? Beautiful color. Okay, these will come back for the snow and ice extravaganza in January. Just for me. I love light bulbs. And I bought a whole bag of these bad boys. And these are old. And so we have both red and yellow, and I've tested every one and they all burn beautifully. What am I going to do with them? Use them. But you say, well, you'll burn them out. Well, yeah. Then they'll burn out. They'll last longer than most incandescent light bulbs. Look at this. Protects your hair weave. Wavo cap. Made of DuPont nylon. The all-purpose net. For sport. For home. For sleeping. Isn't that ridiculous that I bought that? And it's in there. I'm not going to try to pull it out, but there's a hair net in there. Is that your style? It might be and it might not be. It's very mid-century. Do you recognize it as being a product manufactured by? Well, if you said Hall, you were correct. If you said it looks like it's from the 50s, you are correct. Oddly enough, this has the year, the copyright, and the year on it, 55. And it's just a classic mid-century abstract. I like the colors. That's definitely a mid-century design. So we'll bring that back in the springtime when we're ready for a springtime pottery show. I think I did one of those last year. Now, as you know, or I hope you know, that's not what I meant to say. I do think that you're watching this on Thanksgiving. I hope you are. So, did any of you spend any time in the kitchen with bowls like this? Pyrex, mixing bowls. We don't have the in-between. We only have 2 of a set that would have either had 3 or 4 in this dot pattern. Those will be for sale at some point. Speaking of Thanksgiving, did any of you and I hope you did, use it. What are you waiting for? A funeral? If it's your funeral, you won't even know they're using it. Use it. You know by that knob on the top, we're back into the 1920s and 30s. And of course, this is old Pyrex. And yes, many of the lids get etched. And that one was in great cut just the way they would do. No need to waste your time cutting that because it's going to be filled with green bean casserole. So from the oven to the table. And this is a small one. You know, good for a family of 4, maybe. Now, some of these things you may have already seen in a front seat frivolities or while I'm out thrifting. One of the things that people don't always understand is that videos and clips don't necessarily come out sequentially. Sometimes they get jumbled up. So you may be seeing something that I've already sold. There might be a shop along 2 days from now, and you see me buying some of this. So sometimes things are out of order. We'll also save these for a springtime pottery sale. We have 2 vases. It's looking very McCoy to me. They're unmarked. I haven't looked in my McCoy book. They might be and they might not be. Well, those will come again later. Let's go ahead and finish off the vases. Neither one of these are marked. I just might be keeping these, at least one of them, because I love that color. And they have their drain saucers, or whatever you call that thing. I'm calling it a drain saucer, whatever you want to call it, connected to them. And I may keep the little one. That's great for the kitchen. That could fit on a windowsill. This one's a little bit larger. So we'll have to see. You know how much I love this color. And they're in good condition. How about that? I'm over the moon about that. Very deco, very 30s. The design, the color, everything. It's a candy dish. And look at that wonderful geometric spider web in green enamel. No maker's mark. I've not done any digging yet on this. I mean digging meaning looking up to see who made it, manufactured it. Not sure who manufactured that either. It's got Heisey quality written all over it. Heisey isn't always marked. This was in the front seat frivolities. It's a candy jar and it's beautifully etched. Now the finial broke off and it was sterling silver. Yeah, I know that. Look, not only does it say sterling right there, you might be able to see it, and we can see a bit of the screw. I love the fact that someone just sort of filed that down. We'll see. I might leave it alone. I might take that off and try to replace it with some other type of a knob on the top. The etch is really pretty. I'm sorry, it's not acid etched. This is hand engraved. All of that is hand engraved on it with a cutting tool. So it's really elegant. This was expensive. This was a nice gift when it was new. So we'll have to come up with something else for the top there. Don't worry, I got a lot of little bits and things down in the basement. I'll fiddle with it. Now, let's see here. Last Christmas, I had Christmas dinner here, and I served Christmas dinner on the Anchor Hocking Waterford pattern. This was a cheap, mass-produced anchor-hocking dime store pattern, not elegant. You say, Scott, why didn't you bring out your best crystal, your best bling, bling, bling? Well, I just didn't want to. I love this pattern. And I picked up about another 12 or 15 of these plates, which will be for sale because I don't need them. But this was produced from about 1932 to 1938. And this was sort of tipping my hat to my ancestors who worked in the glass factory. And it was neat to eat off of anchor hocking on Christmas Day. But these will be up for sale. And I pick up the Waterford pattern anytime I can find it. Again, Waterford has nothing to do with Waterford crystal. This is inexpensive glass, soda lime glass, really. But Hocking named the pattern Waterford. Why did my music stop? I don't know. It should probably come back on again in a second. Look at this. Unmarked. Lovely syrup jug. Lid. Syrup jug. Underplate. Or underpants, as I like to say. Cut on a wheel. It's got an applied handle. High-Z quality. It's just beginning to turn purple, as some of you may have picked up. There's a hint of lavender to that. It's not supposed to be there. It's because it's been in the sunlight. So it's just starting to turn just slightly. What a lovely piece that is. Think so? Now let me tell you. I strolled into, it was a Goodwill. And when I saw it, I said, that's got to be damaged. Something like that. I mean, I know there's going to be damage on it. And there is. Amazingly, the repair is flawless. It's not chipped anywhere. Not a chip on it. Not a crack on it. You say, well, what's the damage? Well, a section of the handle did break off and it was repaired. Boy, the repair. The handle broke from here to here. You can see the crack line right there, re-glued, and the line, well, you can hardly see it. Right here, re-glued. So you do see it, but look how clean that look how clean that break was. Oh my word. So, wonderfully repaired. I'll never pick it up like that. But you can't really see that repair, although it's a damaged and repaired piece. It's Roseville, not the reproduction, but the real thing. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I have a collection of scratch and dent pottery. Good stuff. Looks wonderful. But there might be a crack, there might be a chip. And I've got now maybe 10 pieces of beautiful pottery that shows its age. We may have a scratch and dent sale one of these days. We might. Not nice, if you like Roseville, and I do. All right, I'm going to do you in a minute, so hold still. You know the story. Cocktail glasses. Woo! It's Cambridge glass and Farberware chrome housings for the glass. 6 of them. I'm only showing you 3. 2 in green, 2 in amber, and 2 in lavender or light purple. So 6 of these, very popular in the 30s and 40s, late 30s and 40s, with cocktail shakers. I have a very, very small, maybe 5 pieces, collection of 1930s era toys, which I like to decorate with at Christmas time under the Christmas tree, unwrapped. And I'm going to add this wonderful little streamline Art Deco toy iron, which is just absolutely fantastic. I love the design. It's got the 1930s and 40s written all over it. Isn't that the coolest thing? No mark. Boy, it's been used. Boy, it's been played with. And some little girl was imitating the mother. Yeah. And this is one that doesn't plug in or heat up. So it's very safe for a small child to, train those little girls. You're going to be ironing your husband's shirts for the rest of your life. Well, that's the way it was in the 30s and 40s. Right? How about a wooden dresser box? These were popular in the 30s and 40s, and this one's pretty. It has a little surprise on the inside. I'm going to show you in a minute. Now, the paper is under glass. It is very difficult to change this paper, and not impossible, but well, I guess I'm not going to show you because there's a mirror under here, and well, I'll show you slightly. This is the mirror. In order to change that paper underneath that glass, the only way to get to it is to pull this whole thing apart. Now that nail needs to be pushed back in. It's starting to come apart there, but that's the only way you could change that is to, you saw it coming apart there. See, you'd have to pull the nails out, take the frame apart, pull the glass out, which can be done, but it's tricky to do and I wouldn't advise it for anybody unless you're good with your hands. That's a pretty picture. I'd leave it alone. Gold paper on the bottom, which is still there. And it's just a dresser box, usually for women. Yeah. Now, written around the inside here, it says, May the 9th, 1942, from Harold. Well, Harold, I don't know who the recipient was, but you're famous now. Among OCS watchers, Harold. Okay, I've got that, and this, and this. Couldn't resist. I love amber. I had to buy the 4 of these. Gonna sell them or keep them. Daisy and button. That's looking a lot like a Hazel Atlas handle to me. / Continental Can Company. 4 of these. Just 4. And, yeah, just 4. But pretty amber. And this would be a mid-century piece. So 4 of those. A big glass, Hazel Atlas glass jar, and it is marked Hazel Atlas on the bottom of it. Glass jar of buttons. I haven't even opened the lid. I'm gonna wait for 6 inches of snow. Actually, 6 inches of snow won't stop me. We need to wait for more than 6 inches. 6 inches here in the north, we're out driving on that. To open up this, wash them in the sink. There's always half a dozen like straight pins in here. I learned that the hard way. Before you go digging your hands in, there's always a straight pin in there waiting to get you. You ain't gonna get me, but I will fiddle with that later. I know some of you are dying to go through that and start digging out and seeing what's in there. Okay, we'll do you, and you. You know, the player piano had sort of a comeback in the 60s. I've owned player pianos. I'll tell you the story one day of how a buddy of mine, he and I were trying to get a player piano out of a house I was renting. This is 129 years ago. And we got it stuck. The two of us, skinny little things, were trying to move. You ever try to move an upright player piano? I am 5'10" and I weigh 150 pounds. 25 years ago, I was 5'10" and I weighed 145 pounds. My friend was no bigger than that. We got that piano wedged in my front door, stuck. He was outside, I was inside. Luckily, there was a back door because we couldn't budge that piano. We could not budge it. We ended up, well, I told you I wasn't going to tell you the story now, but I have rebuilt player pianos too in my life. So I know the inner workings of them, and it's my dream one day to have a player piano again, one that I can actually do some restoration work to and get up and running. Having said all of that, this is a wonderful Christmas box from the mid-century. We've got 6 QRS piano rolls for Christmas. All the Christmas things you would expect. Now this again isn't antique. It's, pull this drawer out, and if you had the player piano, there are 5 or 6 of these in here. Everybody gets, you pass these around, to the people in the living room. I think there are 6 of them. Look at that graphic. I know you probably want to know the year. Oh golly, I can't even get my eyeballs on it. The lyric booklet, Life of the Christmas Party. So this could be anywhere from the 60s on up, the 70s, even into the early 80s. But so you get that. What I'm going to do with this is probably just hold on to it. The player piano rolls are in there. Very few people have even messed with player pianos anymore, but as I said, I sold both of the player pianos that I rebuilt, restored, reconstructed, saved from the dumpster, literally. Labor of love. But I did, and it was a lot of fun to do back in those days. Now I'm just too busy to tackle something like that, and I don't have the space. But that's what that is. And then, I guess, just 2 more things, and that's it. I see a spider web up there I've got to get. This is the most spidery house. This I showed you in the front seat frivolities, so I won't go on and on and on about it. Dates to about 1930. And it's a boudoir nightlight oil diffuser. Yes, they had those in those days. I'm going to have to replace that cord for, have I been gone a half an hour? I'm going to have to replace that cord, obviously, and I will replace it. Very easy to do. Actually, the cord is fine. I've plugged it in and used it. What looks horrible is the silk that's coming off. But the electric cord itself, Underneath is just fine, although it doesn't, I can't sell it that way. Nobody would want that. Anyway, this is all glass, and this is enamel paint, and there's a reservoir at the top, a little tiny spot to just put a few drops of scented oil, right? People weren't running around with cans of Febreze in 1930. And a very 8-watt light bulb, a tiny, almost like Christmas tree light bulb is what's in there. And the neat thing is you change the light bulb and it changes the color of this. So turned on, you get a little bit of warm ambient light, just night light, and some pretty smells, whatever the oil is that you put in there. So again, circa 1930, that's almost 100 years old, this thing now, you know. And put a new cord on it. I'll put a reproduction cloth cord on it so that it looks antique-y. Yeah, and that will work just fine. Okay, and then I think I've already shown you this, but I'm not certain. The reason why I have it in my hands is because I had to move it off of the table that's in front of me. And I don't remember whether you ever saw this American Brilliant Cut bowl. I've had this out on a little coffee table, a small table in the house here. This is from the Gilded Age, 1880s, 1890s. And it's one of the most beautiful American Brilliant Cut bowls I've had. Of course, with all these teeth, there are going to be little flea bites and little chips around the top, and there are. But I don't find American Brilliant Cut, but what it's not chipped. And I really think it's because the glass is so heavy. It's so heavy that when you put it down or move it or from one shelf to the next, because it's so heavy, it's so easy to bang it against things. And I think that it just was easy for it to get chipped. But that's not pressed. Boy, you can tell the difference. Yeah. So this will contain lead. Listen to it. Boy, that's the sound we love. Isn't that beautiful? And to think this came out as one blank piece of crystal, and a master craftsman spent the time to cut all of these facets in here. I wouldn't take less than $100 for that bowl. And even though you will find some chips, small chips, as I've often said before, this stuff is so sharp, even if it were chip free, you'd still think you'd cut yourself. And so even though there will be chips on it, I buy it anyway, unless it's, if it's cracked, I usually don't buy it, or if it has serious damage. But little chipping things don't bother me at all. I don't know how you find it without chips, I really don't. But isn't that beautiful and just brilliant? I would add it to the top of the china closet, but there's no room. Boy, have I been putting together a collection of American Brilliant Cut, and one of these days we're going to have a big discussion about it. All right, that's it. I think, let me slurp down my last. What did you like? What didn't you like? What are you excited about? Do you see anything that you would be interested in? Now, I'll throw this out in case you're new to the OCS. I don't directly sell to anyone. For instance, I've already let the whole audience see this. Even if someone were to write to me and say, Scott, I want that jar of buttons, I'll give you $100. The answer is no. You know why? Because if I show it to you and I say it's going to be for sale, I want everybody to have a chance. So that's the reason why I don't privately sell if I've already shown it to the folks. Now, I might bring it to a live sale and only get $20 for it, but that's the way it goes. But if you do see something you're interested in, you can always let me know, and I'll try to let you know in advance. Okay, 2 weeks from now, I'm selling it at this live sale, or it'll be in this drop sale, you know, that kind of thing. Or you can just stay tuned to the old curiosity shop. I usually have previews for the live sales. I try to. Now, this is going up for viewing on Thanksgiving Day, as I've already said. And it is my goal to have a drop sale for you on Friday, Black Friday, the big shopping day, right? And then, of course, we have Monday when everybody's shopping online, right? After Thanksgiving. So I'll be broadcasting that night. Yeah, I sure will. With another live sale. That's December the 1st. And I don't know what I'm selling yet, but I'll have a preview for you. Please enjoy your Thanksgiving Day, and thank you for watching. That's all for now. Wait for the cat. And so long for now.